Welcome back, Peet Junior High students. Mr. Urbanik here, Associate Principal. We're here to kind of give you a little update on some of the changes that are going to be happening as we enter this new school year, 2021. So first thing I want to talk about is drop off to our building. That is not going to change. You're still going to drop off up front. Buses are going to drop off up front. But the one change that you need to know and understand is that our doors are not going to open until 7:35. So the doors will be locked. So if you get dropped off early, you're going to be staying out front, outside. If it's raining, we will make accommodations during that time. But as you get to school at 7:35, the doors will unlock for you. You'll be able to come into the building at that time. If you are getting breakfast, the breakfast line will be ready to go for you. You'll go in, you'll eat in the lunchroom, and we'll talk about more with the cafeteria and what that's going to look like in there a little later. But if you come in at 7:35, it's going to be one-way traffic. We'll talk about that too. You'll go to your lockers, you will drop off and get what you need for the day, and then you will be able to head to your first period class. And we're going to ask that you go to your first period class and not roam the halls, not meet up with friends at that time. We just want to make sure that we get and keep our distance, our social distancing, the best that we can. The other thing is, as you come into our building too, you are going to have to wear your mask. So make sure you have your mask with you at all times, because if we cannot be 6 feet apart, we are going to make sure that you have that mask on for the safety of yourself as well as the safety of others. All right, so one other thing that we want to say is before you arrive to school, we ask that parents and students to really check your temperature, how you're feeling. If you have any of those symptoms that go along with COVID-19, we ask that if you have any of them, you stay home. But please understand, take your temperature, check to see if you're feeling well. If you're not feeling well, please stay home. All right. Another new thing when you come into the building now, we're going to have one-way traffic. So we need to make sure that as you come in, you see the different signs that we have, where it's going to help with our directional flow throughout the building. And this flow is only going to be used during passing times. So we need to make sure we follow those guidelines as everybody will be moving in the same direction. So now we're talking about our one-way travel. As you can see, this for the new students is our English and Social Studies hallway. This is a one-way traffic that will go all the way down to the end of this hallway. And so you will move in one direction this way. You will head out the doors if you have to get over to the math science wing. And you'll go down to the math science wing outside and come in those doors, which makes a big circle around our two wings that we have here in our building. So one other thing we're asking students is that, for you to bring a water bottle. We're not going to be able to use our water fountains this year. These have been disabled down here. But as you can tell, our water bottle fillers still work. So we will use those as much as we can and get away from drinking out of the fountain. One other thing I want to talk about is our lockers. You do have a locker this year, but our goal is to minimize the use that you have of your locker. So with that, you're going to be allowed to carry backpacks around to and from your classes, to each of your classes. So to minimize the amount of time that you come to your locker, stand around, and get to your next class. So in order to do that, you have them in the mornings and after school to pick up your stuff and drop stuff off. But we're going to try to minimize the use of these as much as we can. All right, so lunch in the lunchroom is going to look a little different too. This year, we normally can seat about 220 kids, but right now with the social distancing and the plexiglass that is going to be put in there, we're only going to have about 74 kids in our lunchroom at a time. That's why we have the overflow into the gym as an extra option. So when you come into lunch, you will still have the same two lines that we normally have, one on each side, at least on the left side. And you will go through. They will give you your tray. You will tell them what you want. They will pass you your tray, and then you will come out, find a seat in here, and if there's not any spaces available, you will head over into the gym. In here also, there's going to be X's on the chairs that will tell you where you can sit. And so when you get your lunch or breakfast, those are places that you see the X that you can go and take a seat. Another thing that we've added is that we now have a modified extra space for lunchroom. This area is going to be utilized by kids that bring their sack lunch to school. As you get ready to go to lunch, if you have a sack lunch, we're going to try to fill this up first with those students. We don't have the chairs set out yet, but there will be 2 students per table
sitting opposite ends across from each other. So this is going to be a new area that we're going to utilize to space out during lunchtime for our students.
Some other things you may notice when you get into your classrooms is the spacing between all of our seats. We're really going to work on trying to keep that social distancing within the classroom. Knowing that, some classes we're going to have 25 to 30 kids in a class, we're going to do our best to keep everything, keep students separated, to make sure that we follow the guidelines that the CDC has provided for us. Two other things that I want to touch on and make sure that our students understand is that we really want to stress and really work on the hand sanitizing and the washing of hands. Making sure you take that time. We will also have multiple spots throughout the building that there will be hand sanitizers that you can go to and get some hand sanitation. Our classrooms will also have some in them, but we do ask too that if you have hand sanitizer, please bring it with you, put it in your backpack, and that you can do that on a regular basis. The last thing I want to mention is our end of the day procedures. The start of the year, we're not going to have echoes. We're not going to have our alternative learning time. So at the end of the day, we're asking kids, as soon as school is over, we're going to have you get out of the building as quick as we can, because our janitors are going to be doing a lot of extra work when it comes to sanitizing and getting the rooms ready for the next day. So after school, we ask that you are out of the building by 3:10 and picked up by 3:10. And if you have some issues with that, please contact Mr. Bavers or myself, and we will figure out a plan to get you somewhere safe or to make sure your parents have a place for you to go to after school.